The argument for international GOAT was Dirk or Hakeem, two different styles of play. So what do they have that Jokic doesn't have? Nikola Jokic is on track to become the greatest international player the NBA has ever seen. You could even argue that he already is. We've never seen a player of his size pass like he does. He's a one-man shot creator. If the Nuggets put four warm bodies around him, he'll give him an open shot. His 6'11" frame helps, allowing him to tower over defenders and whip a pass anywhere on the court. He doubles as one of the league's best rebounders, second in total rebounds since his breakout 2019 season. He can score at will, one of the fiercest post scorers in the league, while being able to burn defenses from deep, shooting 35% from three for his career. His only weakness is his defense. He's slow and unathletic, but he knows where to be and he tries hard. He's never really a liability. Bringing up his advanced stats is just unfair. After finishing first in win shares, PER, plus minus, and value over replacement player each of the last 3 seasons, he's become an icon in the nerd community. He also happens to be the all-time leader in plus minus and only trails the great Michael Jordan in PER. He won 2 back-to-back MVPs, something only 2 other international players have done. He's almost certainly going to retire as an all-time leader in triple-doubles, consistently changing how NBA franchises think about their big men. But what would it take for the Joker to be the undisputed GOAT of foreign-born players? Watch until the end to find out. The NBA is a global sport. Just look at recent MVP voting breakdowns. Each of the last 3 years, Jokic and Joel Embiid have finished in the top 2 of MVP voting. Giannis has been third the last 2 years, going along with his 2 MVP trophies from 2019 and 2020. Luka Doncic is consistently pulling in votes. 2022 was the first time 3 international players were the top 3 finishers in MVP voting, and it happened again this year. That means arguably the 4 best players in the NBA right now are international players, and none of them have the same style of play.
Setting the screen, Griffin, nice swing.
Giannis, from Greece, is a powerhouse, a physical force of nature that gets to the rim at will and can lock down anyone on the other side of the ball. Slovenian Luka is one of the most mesmerizing players we've ever seen, a slow-burn offensive phenom that can make even the worst looks go in.
Dorian Finney-Smith.
Doncic leans into Leonard, hits the 3!
Embiid, hailing from Cameroon, might be the most rounded scorer we've ever seen from his position, a post presence with range and nasty footwork.
Tough shot, and it ran.
Serbian big man Jokic, of course, plays like a point guard in a gangly center's body. The international state of the NBA is in good hands. But in a league that features 120 international players, Jokic stands above them all. Despite his physical disadvantages, he uses his superior basketball intellect and uncanny court vision to dissect whatever defense is thrown at him. He's proving that these playoffs, the last of the great international players still standing at the Western Conference Finals, comes to an end. He's about to lead the Nuggets to their first finals appearance, where they'll be heavy favorites against the Miami Heat. Along the way, he's averaging a 30-point triple-double on 54-47 shooting splits. What he's doing is historic. Every metric points to him being the best player in the league, let alone among international players. But what about all time? Is he already the best international player we've ever seen? Maybe. But there's one thing that'll secure his place on top. There are a few international greats that he's undoubtedly passed. The 2000 Spurs routinely rolled out international players into their lineups, led by the Frenchman Tony Parker and Argentinian Manu Ginobili. Parker and Ginobili mounted a fearsome backcourt that made the playoffs every single year they played together, from 2003 to 2018. Neither were known for their defense, but both were superb ball handlers, flashy passers, and clutch performers.
Elbow right side, back toward Parker. High shot up.
They won 4 titles together against some of the best American-born players of the last 20 years, including Jason Kidd, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and the No-Star Pistons team in 2005. While neither one is in contention for the NBA's international GOAT, both are Hall of Famers. The fact that Jokic has already passed them at 28 years old is a feat in itself. When talking about the historical impact of foreign-born players in the NBA, you can't tell the full story without Pau Gasol.
Series of fakes and then has to give it up.
After being drafted by the Grizzlies in their debut season in Memphis, Pau became the first player in NBA history to win Rookie of the Year. After getting traded to the Lakers in 2008, he was the missing piece Kobe needed to get over the hump and win his first Shaqless title.
What a teaching tape that would be about how to conduct yourself. Wow!
Included in that 2008 trade, by the way, was Pau's baby brother, Mark. The two Spanish stars were among the best big men of their respective eras, playing a little bit like Jokic. The two were renowned for their passing out of the post and ability to run the offense through them, though neither compared to Jokic. Pau, who holds the record for most Eurobasket MVP awards and the most points scored in Eurobasket, was just elected into the Hall of Fame. Mark might be joining him in a couple years. A South African-born Canadian with floppy hair and a fiery competitive streak, Steve Nash revolutionized the game of basketball in 2005. Taking advantage of the new hand-check rules, he led one of the NBA's finest offensive machines in the mid-2000s on the 7 seconds or less Suns, a team that thrived on fast pace and three-point shooting. He played in 4 Western Conference Finals, but never got over that hump. While the other international dominance is a fairly new aspect of the NBA, international players have been thriving for decades. Dikembe Mutombo, a fellow Denver Nugget, came into the league at 25 years old and was an immediate destructive force.
24 for the Sixers as Clarence tries to jam his way. A can against Mutombo, and Dikembe says no. Clarence and Mutombo's no. Mutombo shaking his finger.
Known for his patented post-swat finger wag, he's second in career blocks and tied with Ben Wallace for the most Defensive Player of the Year trophies, earning 4 in his long career. Yao Ming was the first international player to ever be picked number 1 in the NBA draft. The 7'6" behemoth was an icon in his home nation of China, being the main spark of popularizing the sport in the world's most populous nation.
And Stojakovic had Jackson. Oh, what a pass!
That was Vanderway on Knight. Couldn't get to him, so Vanderway goes around to get it back to him. Nice play.
Peja Stojakovic, Drazen Petrovic, Vlade Divac, Kiki Vanderway, Arvydas Sabonis, so many players were critical in popularizing the sport overseas, inspiring young athletes from countries around the world to pick up a basketball. Jokic took the torch from all of them, but they were trailblazers that set the pace for the way the NBA would look today. So, is Jokic already the best international player? Well, there are 2 guys that might still be in his way. Dirk Nowitzki was hailed as the 7-foot Larry Bird when draft day approached, wowing scouts in little-seen scrimmages. By his 3rd season, he'd proven himself as one of the league's deadliest scorers.
Shoot it, man. It's a 3.
Putting Bosh on him, who had done a good job.
They also they had a foul to give too.
I mean, that's just too easy. And Mikey, that foul.
Soon, every NBA GM was clamoring for the next Dirk, whiffing on draft pick after draft pick. Over the next decade, he earned a reputation as a choker, a soft big man who couldn't win when it counted. But he proved everyone wrong in 2011 when he went on to one of the best postseason runs in NBA history, bringing Dallas their first championship trophy. Now, he's a Hall of Famer, 6th all-time in points scored, one of 3 players to play 20-plus years with a single franchise, and has a solid case for the best international player of all time. But before there was Dirk, there was Hakeem the Dream. He thrived as an international player in a league full of Americans. The first non-American All-Star, All-Star MVP, NBA MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP. He's the all-time leader in blocks, a 6-time first-team selection, a 2-time title winner, and creator of the deadly Dream Shake. For every award, every feat accomplished by today's international players, Hakeem set the precedent. Until Jokic, the argument for international GOAT was Dirk or Hakeem, two different styles of play, but two ultimately similar careers. Both MVPs were trendsetters that won titles late in their careers, proving that the league didn't belong exclusively to Americans. So what do they have that Jokic doesn't have? What does Jokic need to do to pass them as the best international player of all time? He needs to finish the job this postseason. He needs to bring his Denver Nuggets their first title, just like Dirk did for Dallas and Hakeem did for the Rockets. Jokic can have every advanced stat and every regular season award, but until he brings home some hardware, he can't be considered the best foreign-born player in NBA history. Dirk was considered a choker. Then, he defeated the 2-time champion Lakers, the young and athletic Thunder, and the Big Three Heat as he willed his old veteran teammates to victory. Hakeem was in the shadow of Jordan. Then, in his absence during his 1994 baseball sabbatical, claimed his spot as the league's best player and won MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP in 1994. The only player in history to do all three in the same season. The next year, he won again for good measure, this time as an underdog 5 seed. Legacies are formed in the playoffs. Jokic still has a chance to write his. And when it's all said and done, he might be considered the best international player the NBA's ever seen. Do you think Jokic can be considered the international GOAT until he wins a title? When he does hoist that trophy, does he pass Hakeem and Dirk? Let us know in the comments. For more NBA content, check out The Wrong Opinion, useless NBA trivia, and garbage rankings wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for watching Hooper's Lane.